Hello guys, welcome to the Tech Clip. So today we are going to shoot one video on the topic called App Connector, right? So basically App Connector is a part of ZPA, right? So whoever going to start your preparation or you are already using App Connector in your current company, so I will going to complete everything on that, how you can troubleshoot the issues from App Connector to the backend application, how you can deploy the App Connector, right? How many challenges are there? So even I will show you in the real time lab, okay? So I will suggest you whoever start learning this App Connector, you should watch that video till end. And in the end of this video I will tell you that how you can, guys, how you can crack your interview if somebody want to prepare for interview in Zscaler. So this is this is a good video for them. So keep watch till end, put in your comment if you have any question, any query, and I'm giving one bonus part in this video, so keep watch till end. Thank you. Okay, so guys, let me come on the our PPT. Okay, so I will cover everything in detail, so don't worry, watch this video till end. Okay, so this PPT I will by the way share in the description so that you can take it, but I will suggest you to watch that video till end. Okay, so let me go to the whiteboard even before going to the PPT, so that I want you guys can understand how the app connector work, right? So the basic work of app connector, let me tell you, okay, how it works, right? App connector is nothing, it is just like tiny operating system of Linux, belongs to Linux family, okay, which maybe you need to use in your on-premises network or on-premises data center. Okay, what that mean is Zscaler provide you if you want to access any private application from user who is working from home or office or anywhere in the location. The traffic should be always go to the Zscaler cloud. After that it will land it to the app connector, and after app connector it will go to the backend internal application, because Zscaler never ever talk. Because see, try to understand, let me break down this for you, okay, where actually your app connector is sitting. So this is your laptop, you are working from home, okay, you have ZCC client connector installed in your laptop. Now this is your Zscaler, private service edge, okay, private service edge, okay. Now, okay, and this is your let me okay, this is your data center of company, DC, and here is the app connector. After app connector, this is your internal application, okay. So ideally what happen when Zscaler trying to connect or provide you for internal application, suppose your application is www.test.com, okay. So once you hit it on that application, okay, it will first, because you already connected with the ZCC, so tunnel is already there, so you already sending traffic on the Zscaler. Now Zscaler already have a TLS tunnel between your app connector to the nearest data center of Zscaler, right? So this will establish again TLS connection, okay, and then request directly landed on app connector. It never ever going directly to the internal application because of how this Zscaler work, right? So app connector, by the way, let me summarize that, is the .oba file, I can say, is a tiny OS which you need to install on your on-premise network, on the VMware, on the basically people are using on the VMware, right? So you can install that. Okay, once you install, there's a certain of configuration which you require, we'll discuss later. First I need to, just the intention of the starting part is to tell you what is the app connector, because people are thinking that there's a lot of difficult assumption that how the app connector look like, is it the hardware or software or like that, right? It is just like belongs to Unix family, and it's created by Zscaler only, right? So how can download it is very easy. You just visit it on that website. Even you can test on your laptop as well. Download app connector. You haven't required any credential. You just go here, you see, You can pick App Connector by the software, right? And it will ask you which environment you want to install that. Basically, as I mentioned that, right, people are using VMware, so you can install this. Once you click on that, in next to few seconds you see this will start downloading. You see that this one is it start downloading. The total size is 3.4 GB, right? Even you can install this in your on premises. If you are using any VMware, you can install that box, right? Because it's a Linux. Most of the command are supported like Linux interface, because this is the Debian based, right? uh, okay, as per my understanding, you may be install on this one. You have already GCP, that AWS, Microsoft Azure, right? You can install. So based on that, you can pick whatever good part you want to pick, right? So I will paste that link on the chat also. You can also go through that and install. Okay. And guys, I noticed one more thing. You see that when you visited on help.zscaler.com, you see that ask Zscaler button. So this is very interesting button, right? Whatever your question you can ask there, Zscaler AI can answer. Okay. What is, suppose I want to understand which Unix family this app connector belongs to, right? So this will search from whole website of help.zscaler.com and it will give you the answer. You see that it belongs to enterprise Linux 7 version, right? Okay. And basically it's of course it is belong to Linux family. As I mentioned that most of the command which you are running on Linux should be run on app connector. Okay. So app connector ideally access provided by L3 engineers only, not L2 even L1, as my knowledge and working based on my working experience. So but today you are going to learn, even if you are L1, L2 or L3, so everything will be covered in this video fully. Okay. So you got it that app connector is the actually OS which you need to install in your VMware, and that is need to install on your company data center where your application is sitting. Okay, one thing is clear. Now let me back to our PDF and explain more part. Okay, so there is a there is a certain prerequisite. Okay, people are not talking about that. I'm just telling you, before installing app connector you should be need to make sure that there is a prerequisite should be fulfilled. Okay, what is the prerequisite? When you are installing app connector, you cannot do the SSL inspection of app connector traffic. So what I'm saying is, guys, so you are installing the app connector here, right? Maybe after that you have a firewall here as a perimeter, right? You have a firewall. So what will be happen? Now your connection landed first on firewall, then it will go to the app connector, because app connector also need a internet, right, to connect with the private access, right? Now what will be happen in that case? Okay, you see that now what Zscaler are trying to say is don't do SSL inspection on that firewall, because if you are doing that, Zscaler actually drop your request. So one thing is make sure that the connectivity between Zscaler private services to the app connector should not SSL inspected. That's one. What is the second? Okay, okay. NTP should be configured. You should be configure NTP, like when you start configuration this app connector, NTP must be synced with the time, otherwise you got a error, right? Certificate error. Okay, provision key is required, right? Provision key I will tell you how you can get it from the portal. Everything I will tell you, just give me a few minutes. Okay, and MAC address change after clone. Admin clone the existing connector VM for quick deployment. MAC changer. ZPA identity break. Two connector fight for the same identity, like two employee with the same Aadhaar number, right? So you cannot avoid these things. You cannot change a MAC address, because single MAC address should be there of for single app connector, right? Okay. Also, guys, the important part, the port 443 should be open between your Zscaler public service edge, private service edge, which is of course managed by Zscaler, and between app connector. The port 443 should be open. As I mentioned that if you are using perimeter firewall here, then of course you need to open the port on the perimeter, right? So you should be open port 443 on that, so it will make sure that, because this established TLS tunnel between your app connector to the Zscaler nearest data center, so you make sure that port 443 should be open. Okay, good. Okay, so okay, so let me, what is the an app connector really? Okay, so app connector is like a trusted delivery boy who only goes out of the office to collect the parcel. That's very good example, right guys? So app connector actually app connector is just like one in your office, one delivery or not delivery boy, one person should be there who can take the packet from your company gate and go inside. So directly delivery boy should not enter into office, means there is an inside person who can take care of the packet movement from, take it from gate and then come to company inside and deliver to whatever the employee or order person order that, right? So it is like that. In initially all connection outbound to the Zscaler cloud, okay, the make it all connection outbound to the Zscaler cloud, zero inbound connection, no public IP required, never sit in the DMZ zone. Interviewer asked this question. Okay, so no any inbound connection, means inbound means your traffic coming from like not allow anyone coming from internet to the app connector, only the by default allow outgoing traffic from app connector to the this Zscaler service edge. Okay, outbound only tunnel to ZPA public service edge. Okay, okay, Zscaler public service or the private services, because I'm talking about ZPA, so I'm sometime mentioned that Zscaler private services, it means I'm talking about that which is managed by Zscaler only, not that one virtual public service private services that is actually installed by again that's kind of VMware, you need to install on that OS, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Zscaler public service edge. Okay, I don't want you can confuse on both. Public service edge means which managed by Zscaler only. Okay, so your app connector is make it the tunnel, outbound tunnel between your public service edge to the app connector, right? Broker access between authenticated user and internal application. So broker access between authenticated user and internal application, so it will make it connection, because user means you install ZCC in your laptop, right? When you are hitting on the request on the application, so what will be happen, it will go to the Zscaler public services. After that it will land it to the app connector, and after app connector it will go to the backend application, right guys? This is how the flow should be, right? So it's showing that broker access between happen between individual laptop to the internal application. This run on lightweight VM. Okay, software isn't near to the application, right? As I mentioned that this is the lightweight VM you need to install on your company network, company data center. No firewall rule opening inbound port needed, inbound port not required, because you cannot open any port coming from internet, because by default Zscaler rejected all requests. So you only needed to outbound connection. Okay, outbound connection port 443 should be open. Okay, so when I say user device, it means of course that device where Zscaler ZCC install, which is the end user, right? User device means end user where we install ZCC client connector. ZPA public service edge or Zscaler private service edge is the one which managed by Zscaler and which is the nearest data center where user is connected and also where app connector is connected. Is it not mandatory that user connected with the same data center as well as app connector connected with the same data center? Is it not like that, right? Suppose example, okay, uh, you are working on Mumbai, right, and your company based on a US, okay, so what will be happen in that case? So ideally you will connect it to the Mumbai data center, as your location should be near to the Mumbai data center, and the application or the app connector which sitting in your company network, which is the in the US, maybe in New York data center, okay, or whatever the nearest data center of US location, right? So it's not mandatory that both are connected with the same data center, right? App connector outbound MTLS tunnel to the cloud, receive forward session proxies to the internal application. It establishes the tunnel, outbound tunnel. Make sure that no inbound traffic by default allow. Inbound means no one can coming from internet on app connector. No, it's not allowed by default. Okay, and Zscaler really strict on that. You cannot allow any, even not record that port, because by default rejected that traffic. Internal application is your application which is sitting in your company network behind the app connector, right? So just telling you these because whoever may be not aware about the anything about Zscaler, so I'm just explaining you user device, ZPA service public edge, right, app connector and internal application. As I mentioned that, right, when you are installing app connector, you require a VMware, and VMware you need to install on the hardware, right? So this is the minimum requirement, minimum 2 CPU, 4 GB RAM, 50 GB hard disk. This is the minimum requirement where you can install VMware, because of course VMware also require a hardware, right? Okay, supported OS, CentOS, RHEL, Debian or OBA, any of the OS you can install, because all flavor of this available in the portal, right? Dedicated VM do not share with the other workload, because app connector is actually, if app connector is high utilized, or you can share the because ideally I'm saying that app connector should not allow any incoming traffic, right? If you're sharing that, it may be cause the problem, maybe mixing with the other network. So you always separate app connector with the other application or other, do not share that device. Golden rule, always ping the static MAC address before running enrollment. Changing MAC address post enrollment break a ZPA identity permanently, because when you are enrolling ZPA, it will make sure that no one can duplicate that, no one can clone, right? This is the security features. So you always make sure that the app connector MAC address should not change. The reason why I'm saying, because VMware, if you are installing on VMware MAC address you can change, right? How? You can add new NIC port, or you can remove that port and add new port, then maybe MAC address should be changed, right? So make sure that MAC should not change. If it's changing, then it break the connectivity, right? Never use a cloned VM without assigning a fresh MAC address, because if you are cloning the MAC address, if both are the same MAC address, because Zscaler, when you are Zscaler enrolling app connector on their portal, they validate and they make sure that MAC address should be different. Okay guys, this is, and what about the ZPA part? What you needed, there's a 4 step only guys to complete app connector part on ZPA portal. It is very easy. I will tell you, let me break down everything, don't worry, sit with me. Okay, so first you can log in on ZPA portal. You need to connect. See, this is the mandatory part. Every app connector should be part of app connector group. You cannot define app connector single. What I'm saying is, suppose you have an app connector 1 and you have app connector 2. So you cannot individually use these app connectors. These app connectors should be part of app connector group. Basically, what I'm saying is, you can bind two app connector with the one, together, and make it the individual app connector group. So I can name it, this is suppose US Office app connector. So see, if both app connector are same symptom or same behavior, then you can bind with their name based on the location, right? If both app connector is sitting in the US location or your office network, then you can define the name of app connector group and bundle. You want, I can easy explanation for you. Let me explain. Have you heard about in firewall object group? You guys know that, right? So object group is doing the same thing, right? You cannot always, suppose you have 100 of domain or URL, and if I will tell you guys, hey, could you create a policy? So you not always go and call 100 URL always every time. Suppose you require one rule where you want to, a specific user can access these URL, and you created one rule where rest of all users should be block all 100 URL. You cannot go on the policy part and call one by 100 URL, maybe you will miss. So instead of, what you will do, you can create one object group, call important URL or whitelist URL and add all URL on that. So when you are creating the policy, you can call that object group into the policy. So within second you will get it, the that call all those app connector, sorry, those all URL, right? In the same way, app connector is just one. If you bundle multiple app connector with the location, or suppose some app connector on AWS, then you can call it maybe 3-4 app connector on AWS. You can call it AWS app connector, whatever zone they have, you can call it. If any app connector in Pune location, suppose you have a sub office in Pune location and there's two app connectors there, you can call it the location Pune and call it the both app connector, right? So you can create a basically bundle multiple app connector and it will call as app connector group, because app connector group is mandatory to both. Symptom should be same, at least location should be same of both app connector. Otherwise how can bundle, right? There should be some similarities on both app connector, then only you can combine and make it one app connector group, right? Server group and application defined server group is what? Server group, if you combine multiple app connector group, see how the hierarchy work. Okay, I guys, I'm explaining this. This is very important. Let me tell you, because even that is not part of our topic, but still let me explain you. So how the hierarchy follow by ZPA. So once you understand this, so their all concept should be clear for ZPA. Okay, so what is the app segment? It will always start from app segment. App segment is the URL which you need to define on the ZPA. Okay, this is the actual configuration where you define. So you can define www.test.com. Under that you also define the port as well. So app segment is the one where you are defining your URL or port number. If you combine multiple app segment, then it will call segment group. Okay, so again the condition is same. Suppose you have a 5 HR application, you created separate 5 app segment. If you want to bundle those all app segment in the same example as I mentioned in the firewall object group, because every time you cannot call all individual app connector app segment, you maybe forget, right? So what you need to do, you can call all app segment under the segment group and call the segment group, or create one segment group name is called HR application, and add all 4-5 app segment on that. So whenever you are creating the policy, suppose you want to allow these application for user, HR user, you can call it as a HR application as app segment, and it within single shot it will allow, right? Otherwise you will struggle every time remember 5 application which is using for HR, right? So app segment where you are defining your URL and port number in ZPA portal, I will show you that, so please watch till in. Segment group, if you bundle multiple app segment, it will call as segment group. It is easy. Segment group is not even nothing, just is a object group, that's it. It is not going to do any configuration kind of thing. Configuration you do on app segment. Segment group is just bundle multiple app segment and create a segment group, right? Now come to the app connector. App connector actually is the one, as I mentioned, which you are installing in your company network, but Zscaler never ever use individual app connector. You can, without even you are creating app connector group, you can call single app connector, but app connector group always should be part of app connector, sorry, single app connector even always part of app connector group. So whatever app connector you created, make sure that bundled with the app connector group, because in the policy or even the configuration, app connector is decide where I need to land it. Because if you part of multiple app connector into app connector group, so it will pick which one is good to nearest to the user location. Based on that, it will pick that one, right? Okay, then server group. So what is server group? Server group is if you bundle multiple app connector group. See how hierarchy. App connector is the one which you install in your on-premises network. If you bundle multiple app connector, it will call app connector group, and make sure that the similarities should be same, because if you bundled or if you call multiple app connector into app connector group, then you should be make it some location or something should be common on that, right? because it will choose from that group. When you are user hitting request, it will pick any active app connector or based on the availability of app connector from that group only. Okay, now if you bundle multiple app connector group, it will call server group. Okay, see, if you bundle multiple app connector group, it will call a server group, right? So server group is, of course, it is part of multiple app connector group. You have see the hierarchy, right? So this is how actually is the work. Hope is clear a little bit to you. By the way, I will drop that PDF so you can go on through it. And if you have guys any question, make sure that you should be put it on our WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp number I mentioned in the this header of this PPT. Okay, or you can visit our website. You can directly contact me so that I will help you out. Okay, thank you. Okay, these are the recommendation, sizing, rule placement, as I mentioned that, right? App connector. Okay, so connector talk to app over the local host or LAN. Some millisecond user experience is smooth regarding of geographic. Okay, wrong app connector at headquarter app in DC. Okay, so means that always make sure that the app connector should be near to the application, right? Is it not like you are installing app connector in India location but your internal application in US? Is it not like that? You can install app connector in the same data center if you want to give a smooth experience to the user, right? Okay, so these egress requirement firewall team should be open those port, as I mentioned that, right? So because when it will talking to, here you will see this is your public service edge, this is your app connector. So if you are using firewall between public service edge and app connector, you make sure that these ports should be open on the firewall. Okay, so how many port? 443, as I mentioned already, 443 should be open. Okay, and .zscaler.net, this should be first inspect on. You cannot expect SSL inspection on Zscaler traffic, otherwise it drop the request, right? So no SSL inspection on star.zscaler.net. You can wildcard bypass this into SSL inspection if you are using firewall between Zscaler public service edge to the app connector. Okay, you have a Zscaler 2 and 3, there's a Zscaler data center, right? NTP server should be 1 2 3 port should be available, do not block, otherwise certificate error should be there. Internal DNS should be 53, should be allow. Okay, and if any specific port, suppose we see every port, every application using unique port, like Zscaler is using 1433, right? What is it? 14 it is in 1433. So you can use exact port, whatever port required to open on the firewall. But these are the mandatory, rest are based on your application. See, all application is not using 443, right? So based on that, some application is using 3389, right? Some application is using 8080. So you can allow those port on the firewall if firewall sitting behind your app connector and Zscaler public service edge. As I mentioned, no inbound traffic allow on app connector by default. App connector make outbound only connection. There's zero inbound traffic. Firewall rule to be open. There's zero inbound firewall rule to be open. Not required because by default Zscaler block. Never enable SSL or TLS inspection between app connector to the Zscaler public service edge. Okay. Okay. Now guys, I'm going to the portal. I will tell you the very important role of provision key, right? Provision key, people are asking, or if you are going for interview, interviewer ask this question. Okay, the question is, they will ask how to deploy the app connector. Okay, and what what backend application you can onboard it, right? So as I mentioned that the prerequisite, port number, everything you can explain them. Then come to the ZPA part, what you need to do, right, on the portal perspective. Okay, so let me go to the portal. I have already logged in on that. So okay, so guys, you see this color is recently decommissioned. They're all old portal. Sometime it accessible, but later maybe permanently decommissioned all old portal, because on the old portal they have a ZIA, ZPA, ZTX for every tool, they have a separate portal. Now they combine all together and make it the experience center. So I log in on that. I will tell you how you can go, guys. So you can go under infrastructure. Under infrastructure, you see that app connector is there. Okay, so if you click on app connector, you see the app connector. But first you make sure that every app connector should be part of app connector group. Okay, even I will tell you the example. Suppose I want to add new app connector. Okay, so let me, so in the starting itself it is showing that app connector should be part of app connector group. So first you need to create app connector group, then you can back to the app connector and call that app connector into in here, right? So let me go back and just take it one example. So we have a app connector in what location? Zurich. Okay, so let me keep example of that because I work on that. Let me name it as a Zurich. Is it correct spelling? Not sure. Let me see. Okay, we got it. Okay, so we have a app connector group name called Zscaler Manage Zurich. Okay, so you see we created this group and we added two app connector on that. So app connector group is very important. Even before creating app connector, you should be create first app connector group, because when you are creating app connector, the first step it will ask you which whatever your app connector is creating, that app connector is part of which app connector group, right? You see this is the Zscaler managed Zurich and two app connector is there, right? So let me open that. Okay, in the same way you also do it. Okay, so you see I will open both individually. Zscaler manage Zurich 1 and Zurich 2. So this app connector hold two app connector. Okay, two app connector. Okay, provision key also use. And guys, the popular question asked by interviewer, how many time you can use the provision key. Okay, so by default it will tell you the 10, but you can decide. Okay, so by default it will tell you the 10. Otherwise you can define how many times, because every time you no need to create a separate provision key. If suppose you are already using, I will tell you example, right? Suppose you have a company in Pune, right, and you already 3 4 app connectors there, and maybe you feel it that your load is more and those app connector may be high utilized sometime. So you can later add a new app connector. So you no need to create a separate key. Instead of, you can go to the app connector group where all three already existing added. You can create, you can take it provision key from here. Okay, you see, you can take it provision key from here and directly you can onboard it, right? So provision key only required for new app connector, right? So I added app connector group. Let me see how many things are there. Okay, so you see this is the name of app connector. Status is enabled because I'm going to use that, right? So certificate, always select connector. Connector is by default installed on the app connector as well, so no need to extra certificate. You can use a connector by default. And if DNS resolution by IPv4 or IPv6, you can use both or based on your use case. Okay, so disaster recovery is important. Suppose you want sometime your the application got failed, everything going to fail. So what you can do, you can define the disaster recovery. Okay, enable to designated the app connector group to be used during disaster recovery. So once you enable, it will pop up in the disaster recovery plan. So something got wrong, or suppose your data center whole Zscaler down. In that case, your still traffic should not impact. If you want to enable PRA means if you are enable port 3389, directly take a RDP, because you know that like what application that app connector will provide, right? Because you know that what backend application user trying to access. If you are using that application for PRA, you need to enable. This is security features, right? If you not enable, port 3389 should not work, right? Hosting detection, okay, it will return how ZPA detect the hosting information automatically, right? And TCP quick acknowledgement means it will not always go with three-way handshake completed everything. It will, once it establish three-way handshake and all, it will always send the TCP quick acknowledgement. Okay, but keep it enabled because maybe it's your use case, right? You can take it. Disable app protection. If you enable that, it will follow the OWSP top 10 process. It will validate all attack. If anything match, it will use. But I think that requires extra subscription. Okay, so people are using, because you are already using Zscaler and most of the things are already you expected, right? But again, it's up to you whether you want to use, you can use, right? Location should be there, location should be proper, you can define, because this location you need to define. Suppose your app connector all in Pune location, so you can call that particular location Pune, and then you can you see Pune Maharashtra, then you can call all app connector of Pune location into this app connector group. So first you need to enable this all setting, right? Okay, so this is also showing that version, profile configuration, how to upgrade. If you want to, you can set from the app connector group itself. If you want to, suppose you want to daily automatically update happen on Saturday or Friday night, because that is non-working hours, so you can set like that, it will automatically happen. Okay, so now guys, come on the app connector group, right? Now if I click on add, it will give the first option, select the app connector group first. So I will select Zurich. Okay, you see this app connector group already there. Now can select the certificate as a connector, because connector is the default, so take it by the app connector, so you can select. Okay, so you can add up to 20 OAuth token, each token added below functionality like RD of app connector, or will associate with the selected app connector. Okay, you can select, but keep it if you don't, or you can use if you are. Let me add what app connector separate, maybe let me open any existing one. Okay, because this is the read only access. You see, both app connector I showed you is the Zurich one. Let me tell you the name, I think. Okay, let me draw like that, you can see. Okay, so when I edit that, okay, uh, let me click on here. Okay, so you see guys, so I added app connector group, certificate is connector, always default, as I mentioned that, right? Host Red Hat, it automatically detected once you install your app connector on the your on-premises network. This is the public IP. These details are automatically fetching Zscaler cloud. You no need to define anything here. This is important. If your app connector is online, it's showing that connected, otherwise it's showing that unknown, or not available, something like that. You can, if you enable secure SSH connection, it will showing that. You can take it, that it will also monitor this, so user can take it from remotely. Okay, this is the enable one, right? So guys, you can say that where is the provision key right now. So okay, let me break down that. First you need to connect your app connector group. You need to keep it default setting. If you have extra require, like, then you can keep it, otherwise you keep it default. Okay, then you need to connect, the second thing, you can create a provision key. If you already use, that's fine, otherwise you need to create a provision key. Okay, if it's a new, then you can define, right, the group again, that which group is it, the app connector group, right? Because that this key should be used not based on the app connector individual, it will use on the whole group, app connector group. So first you need to create app connector, then you can create a provision key, then you can create the your app connector. Okay, so maximum reuse you can select 10. Okay, you see that the maximum Zscaler recommended setting, to maximum reuse provision key number app connector will be immediately deploy, reduce the possibilities. So it's showing that don't use 10 times. So suppose you have a 5 app connector, to use the same provision key with the same app connector group 5 times. Okay, selected certificate always should be a connector. Okay, and that's it. Once you click on that, your provision key automatically is generated. By the way, I haven't permission, but I will tell you old one, because as I mentioned the Zurich one. So let me open Zurich one, let me apply that. You see this one, so now I can download provision key from here. You see, now provision key downloaded guys. Let me show you that. You see this provision key is there, right? So now I can provision the app connector to use this provision key. Okay, you see the total maximum count 4 is allowed, 2 is already used, 2 we can use more, because if I want to install new app connector into Zurich location, hope I am pronouncing correctly, then you need to add 2 provision key, use the existing key, you don't need to create anything new. Okay, so you see how simple, right? So that's it. That one part is completed. ZPA part is completed. First you can create app connector group, then you can create a provision key, then you can connect a app connector, and app connector is automatically fast once you deploy that app connector on the on premises. So ZPA part is completed. Now I will tell you the process how can deploy app connector on the on premises. Okay, I will tell you all command and troubleshooting as well, right? So that's it, guys. It's good to hope everyone understand that. So you see, I took a step that ZPA admin section, you can go there, right? Then you can select app connector, adding provision key, right? Add a select app connector group, okay, and use the maximum use, maximum setting of use a provision key as I showed you, right? So each provision key use, you need to define the app connector, right? Provision key, you need to define how many app connector onboarded through that provision key, because provision key is very important. If somebody is compromise your provision key, they will onboard their app connector into your company, right? So keep it that focused on that provision key should be set the limit how many time you can use, right? Okay, that provision key you need to put it on this opt/zscaler/bot/ provision key. You need to create this path and put a provision key on that. Okay, and then you can use the systemctl's start ZPA connector. Once you start, it will automatically identify the nearest data center of Zscaler and connected your app connector automatically. You no need to do anything. Okay, okay, okay. Why minimum 2 connector per group? Okay, so why minimum 2 app connector per group? Because it's require the redundancy as well, right? ZPA load balancing session across all connector in the group. Okay, because see, one connector got down, at least your traffic should not impacted, right guys? So you can use the 2 app connector at least on the one app connector group. If one app connector goes down, active session automatically fail over and the remaining connector shifted on the active connector. Auto upgrade process require at least one connector to remain healthy, because when you start upgrading, some same time suppose user is also accessing the internal application. If you have a single app connector, it got failed, right? So at least you can install app connector into pair, right? Every app connector group part of at least 2 minimum app connector group. You can add one as well, but it's a risky, right? You cannot take a risk. Okay guys, I will tell you the command. Okay, so the command, you can use systemctl status ZPA connector. This will give you that status on app connector. Okay, I will show you in the lab, guys, so you can visit on where uh where is that? I think okay. You see that I created one simulator for you guys, so you can practice on that. Suppose you run the command like show connector status. Okay, so you see, once I click on that, I get that this is the dummy example or dummy output. Is it not a production one? But you get it the same output in the production. So you see show connector status, or you run show system CTL status ZPA connector. So this will tell you the ZPA connector status. So it's showing that enrollment is not done, control channel is offline. Okay, this one is running currently, is it using 18% of CPU utilization. Path latency is normal. HA is in 2 app connector. Okay, this loaded from this path. Okay, so it will tell you all detail, right? Then you can, okay, I will tell you general CTL, MTR and TCP dump. That is later part of troubleshooting. First you see, you understand, right, how can onboard it. Okay, so let me go to the PDF. You see, So first you need to, once you put it your this provision key into path I mentioned, right, this path. Okay, so once you added your provision key into this path, opt.gscaler var provision key, and then you can put it your provision key, and then you can restart your app connector. Once you restart, it automatically fetch the nearest data center. You no need to do anything. Okay, so if you want to stop app connector services, you can use systemctl stop ZPA connector. Okay, let me see if we have this command output. Okay, what is that? I can use, let me clear all command. Okay, so it is really good, man. You should be use that. Okay, let me use system ctl status ZPA connector, right? You see that you got a status, right? How much CPU utilization, memory utilization, right? What is the service currently running? You see ZPA connector service. If you run system ctl and you can put it start ZPA connector, so you see that it started the service as well, right? So you can run these commanded directly. This is dummy output, but you can use, right? So you see that app connector have this, this IP address, and there's a backend application as well. So you can load the scenario as well, right? So this is very good. You can pick any one of that. User access deny DNS connector cannot be resolved from backend, right? You see the scenario as well, backend TLS certificate and trusted username. So you see how can troubleshoot, right? So all scenario is added here. Maybe later I will add more parts so that you can practice. For now, let me, I already told to this, grok to show me the dummy output so that you understand how you can configure. So first command, configure provision key on the app connector. Okay, so let me open the path. Okay, so path is option dot, okay, sorry, was slash option slash uh ZPA connector, and then you can provision key is here. Let me copy the key, or key xyz. Key is long, but just example I'm giving xyz. Okay, oh my bad, is it 10 keys the limit? What happened? uh Buy credit, no. I think I need to go on the auto mode because I use the expert mode. Let me run that one. Oh, is it the hit the weekly speed? Oh, that's the spat. Okay. Let me, okay, let me, guys, open the some different, software. Okay. Uh, guys, give me 1 second. Let me open new tab, or that new one. So give me 1 second. Okay, so let me tell you guys. So we will discuss about all scenario possible to troubleshoot from app connector. Okay, from app connector to the backend application, right? App connector to backend application. Okay, so let me tell you the scenario, because see, you need to understand. So when you are troubleshooting, it always not meaning that the issue on the Zscaler, right? What happened? This is your laptop. You are hitting on Zscaler cloud. So once Zscaler process that request, it will land it on App Connector. After App Connector, it will go to the backend application, right? So that part, okay, we already covered, right? And I will tell you later after this one how can see the logs in the detail. Okay, so now you just focus on how can troubleshoot connection or troubleshoot the connectivity between app connector to the backend application. right? Suppose user is experienced that the application is not working, right? So even guys, before coming on that, let me give you the one, how you can see the logs. So if you can go to the logs, under logs you see the diagnostic. Okay, so I will tell you what actually symptom you will notice when you see that your app connector having problem, or your traffic reaching to app connector after that it are struggling, right? So let me put it like I suppose ipchicken.com, right? Okay, you see this is the IP address. Let me search it and I will tell you guys. So you see the last 48 hours, let me filter out. Okay, IP chicken, let me add some more logs. Okay, maybe last 7 days it will be good. Okay, you see I was not getting logs, then I increase the filter and now I get the logs, right? Okay, so guys, you see these all tabs, columns, right? Connection, policy, user, service edge, connector, and application, right? So let me tell you, I will tell you how you can show or how you can analysis these logs, right? And then I will back on the troubleshooting scenario from map connector to the backend application, right? Okay, so what is that start time? When your user is initiated the request, so it is the start time, right? Because connection is also session maintain, and after session finish, it will tell you the session end time. Okay, and see the status code. So status code is always good when you are doing the troubleshooting, right? Because you see connection closed by services, which is actually good. It is a gracefully close the connection. That is not a problem. But I will tell you guys how you can see the error. Status code is very important. If you see this one, don't worry because this is the successfully connection, right? So how you can see the all status code? Let me tell you. There's one website called ZPA status code. Uh, okay, like let me open this. Okay, so you see, I was getting that. What is that? Connection. Okay, connection closed by services. Okay, connection closed by service edge, right? I think connection closed. It is not closed. Okay, you see connection closed by service edge, and it show you that BT broker empty terminated, which is gracefully. Okay, no connection, no action required. It means it's gracefully close the connection, right? So you see, you read it that the ZPA public services or ZPA private services close the application tunnel connection. This is part of service regular process because this is not problematic, right? If you see any error, this is the info code, right? If you see error code, so if you see any one of that error cannot open connection to the server. Suppose you see that one, what is that? It means that ensure that app connector can reach to the application. So when you're getting that your backend, the app connector is not reaching to the backend application, you get it this error. Okay, so you always see AC means app connector, right? So if you see any error regarding that, because you see these error. So SE, ZPA, BA, CTR, CLT, CA, and AC. So this is very good symptom to identify what is the actual issue, right? You see, I got a SE. What that mean by SE? You see, SE means the ZPA public services or the ZPA private services. These logs related to Zscaler public services or private services. If you see AC here, okay, and app connector disconnected to ZPA, it means that your app connector is not reaching to your Zscaler public services or private services. Okay, so this also giving the option that ZPA's private services connection to app connector is disconnected, right? So you need to figuring it out. Is there any blocking happen and all, right? So I will put this in the description of the video so that you can go through that, guys. This is really good information to get it all code within second, right? So now let me back on that. Okay, you see this is gracefully connection closed, right? If you have any doubt, you can search that code on the portal which I showed you. Connection closed, right? How much data transfer? This is very less connection, so data is only 3.95. The connection duration is only 15 seconds. I think you just open that website, that's it. The connection type is ZPA because this connection going by ZPA, not a ZIA. Okay, if you want to download the connection log, you can do the deeper analysis, you can download from here. Otherwise you see everything is, you got a JSON file, right? So you got all possible detail. What is the source port, what is the destination port, what peer remote IP, what data transfer, right? So everything is there, but of course this is difficult. You see the policies allowed. This is JSON file, whatever you are seeing here, that only for your, if you're copying that and pasting into your sim tool and all, then that will be good to analysis further. You see the policy part in here, you will see whatever action put it against that website. So it is showing allow. If it's deny, it means block, right? So that's good. Like policy is allow, so issue is not with policy, and you also see which policy this rule is passing. If you want to see, just double click here and it will show you that. Okay, you see that rule. Why this rule is hitting? Because this is part of IP source anchoring, right? And the connection is allow. Okay, you also analysis that for later part. I cover this guys in ZPA dedicated part, so I will suggest you guys should be watch video ZPA one. Visit on that channel and watch the ZPA video. Okay, how the ZPA work, what is the architecture, how you can configure step by step, everything, right? Now, the next tab is about the user detail. Okay, so this is the user which trying to access. This is the public IP address of user, right, where user connected. This request coming from Zscaler Service Edge. It means user hitting from the internet, because this is the ZPA URL, this is the internet URL, but it coming from internet, coming from ZPA. So that's why it detected as coming from ZIA to ZPA. Okay, guys, I already cleared that thing under ZPA, so I will suggest you should watch that. Okay, so these are the all detail about the user. What is the user location, what type of user connection, what is the source IP user coming from, what is the tunnel TLS connection, right? Then this will is the service edge. Okay, oh okay, so this service edge will decide, okay, what is the user or what is the destination application you want to route, right? So this service edge, this is the Zscaler service edge. You see that user belongs to US, you see that rest on US, and app connector setting in the this is Zurich. Okay, I think this one is Switzerland, right? So user connector, actually user sitting in the US, but because of your app connector sitting in the which location, Switzerland, Zurich, so that's why Zscaler automatically selected this Zurich service edge. So this service edge Zscaler have in Zurich, so that's why nearest service edge Zscaler connected, then route that request to the app connector. After app connector, it will route directly to the backend application. So I was telling you guys, when you see here unknown, sometime you will see as an unknown, it means that traffic is reaching to the app connector. After app connector, the problem with the backend application means from app connector, which is in your company network, from app connector to the backend application, this connection is not established the connection. So I was now back to the our guys troubleshooting part. So how you can troubleshoot the connectivity between your app connector to the backend application. So I have a, I will make it chat GPT as a dummy, example, right? So let me tell you, okay, I will run some command. It will give some dummy output, but you will understand. Okay. So what I'm telling to the chat GPT is that my app connector, my app connector IP address is 192.168.1.100 and my backend application IP address is 192.168.1.101. Okay, so let me troubleshoot, because maybe between this, maybe firewall is there, right? Maybe other part also. And also I will tell you guys if whether app connector is successfully connection established to the Zscaler service edge or not. So I will troubleshoot both scenario. Okay, so first part, let me check why app connector is not talking to backend application, right? Right. So you remember IP address 100 is your app connector, 101 is that your backend application, right? So let me go to that and asking that the first scenario, guys, my app connector is not reaching to the backend application. The app connector IP 192.168.1.100 and the backend application IP 192.168.1.101, right? Now, suppose firewall is blocking my connection and I'm using TCP dump hyphen I 0/0. This is if you haven't know that exact port, you put any port and then host. Okay, you put your 192.168.1.100, which is your app connector, put and okay. So this is exact filter you need to use, right? You can use and host. What is next host? 192.168.1.101. So this is your uh, uh, backend application IP, right? So I put it, I'm telling to the Zscaler that, sorry, this chat GPT, give me dummy output. I have 100 is my app connector IP, 101 is my backend application, and it's blocking by firewall. Okay. Oh, it is saying that no such device. Okay. Then use interface any, give me dummy output. Okay. So this treated as a app connector right now because I given the command to the Zscaler. Sorry, app connect this chat GPT to treat yourself as a you know. Okay. So guys, see that the request is TCP dump hyphen I any nn host and host. This is the backend application. This is the app connector IP. So when your traffic is not reaching to the backend application, so maybe it should be firewall, right? And firewall sitting between your app connector to the backend application. So that's the reason its request is hitting on port 443 from the app connector to the backend application. So app connector always sending the sync packet. We are not getting any acknowledgement and all. So it means that there is somewhere packet is dropping. A packet is not reaching to the destination. Otherwise, it will show you that you know that reset packet, right? Now, okay, that's one. Second thing, if some packet, okay, we'll cover that in second scenario. So let me check another scenario. Okay, another scenario that suppose user is complaining that when I'm accessing the application, it is the slow, right? And you identify that, you see guys, this is very less time, even less than 1 ms latency is there, which is like very minimal. Connection time setup is very less, 0.78 ms, which is also less. So one thing is very clear that the problem is not traffic reaching till app connector. After app connector, user is complaining that when I'm hitting the application, it is very slow. So how we can troubleshoot those issues, guys, right? So now again, I will I'll back on chat GPT and I'm asking that if backend application resource high utilized, then then I use mtr command, give me the dummy output as user complaining that my application is slow, right? So sorry, it's wrong. Okay, so let me run the command mtr hyphen u, then you can put it that 192.168.1.101 and you put it, you run the exact command. mtr command is supported by Zscaler, this Zscaler App Connector. So guys, interviewer asked this question, right? How you can troubleshoot slowness issue from App Connector. So you can use mtr hyphen u. You can also put, if you want to, like you look at 20 hope, right? So okay, because this is the only, next to App Connector maybe directly single device, but I think I need to add 10 more part and show that where is the latency. So because I told to ChatGPT your next app connected to backend application, but in production that should not happen, right? Because after app connector maybe firewall, after firewall switch, after switch maybe router, after router maybe some other devices, and then it will connect it to the backend application. Okay, you see when you run mtr-u rwc count 20, so you see, so how can I identify where is the latency, guys? So you see that when I'm doing MTR from your app connector and it is showing that from this hop to this hop, everything's okay, right? You see the average latency is even less than 1 ms. And guys, this is the local network, so latency should be not higher than 1 or max to max going 5 ms. But after this host, latency got increased. You see 76 ms, 82 ms, 88 ms, and once traffic reaching to the backend application, it is 94 ms, which is very high, right? Because this network is local only. So in that case, what do you need to do? You can ask your network team to check path from this to this. If they identify any routing issue or maybe CPU utilization happen of the any device, right? Or even that device itself having overutilized backend server, so then you can confirm them that the problem is not with Zscaler. You need to identify and check on these devices. Now guys, the third question is how you can check whether your app connector is high CPU utilization or not, because this is also very popular question. Okay, interviewer asks how can validate whether app connector is connected with the service edge or not, right? So suppose you logged in on app connector, and guys, I will tell you the command journal ctl hyphen z hyphen u, then you can put the service. We have a ZPA connector. This is the service which running on the Linux to detect this app connector. The condition app connector not established connection with Zscaler Service Edge. Okay, so you see that general CTL. Okay, guys, interviewer asked this question: what is difference between MTR and general CTL? So general CTL is actually Linux command which give you the detailed logs about what happened on app connector, right? So you see, guys, if you want to see deeper logs, then you can use general CTL hyphen u ZPA connector part, because this will tell you all picture what will be happen when you try to connect with the Zscaler service edge from app connector. So let me start reading that. Connecting service is started. Okay, this identify that connector ID. Okay, AC Gurgaon, app connector Gurgaon. This is the app connector group. This initializing the connection, then it's resolve the Zscaler service edge gateway. Gateway resolve with this IP where, because of course Zscaler connected with the their data center. Service edge IP is this one with port 443. I told you, right? Port should be open. Then TCP connection timeout, right? So because TCP connection timeout means from this service edge reaching to the app connector is TCP connection timeout. So you need to understand why it will be happen. Okay, unable to establish outbound control channel. Okay, this is the error. So app connector is not connecting with your Zscaler service edge. Okay, again it try after 5 seconds and again getting the timeout. Okay, no sync acknowledge receipt from services, then possibly firewall or upstream ACL blocking that. So it is showing that maybe after app connector you have a firewall where port 443 is not allowed, or maybe Zscaler is blocking, or on the your firewall which is on premises, after app connector is blocking that connection, right? So you see that that connection is showing timeout and disconnection, then attempt 4 times 5 times, and after that no tunnel established. Okay, so because of, you see that it telling the reason as well why this one is not connected, because of in upstream there is a blocking happen, right? Also, if CPO utilization is high, app connector responding slow, in that case also guys, user is facing slowness issue. So you can validate this on app connector. So use same journal CTL, okay, journal CTL hyphen u ZPA connector, okay. So this will tell you also the CPU utilization as well. Okay, you see I run that connector since 30 minutes ago. If you want to particular time, you put a 30 minutes, but if you want to live, you know live logs, you will see live as well. So connector is, in that case connector is establish the connection successfully and establish the connection with same Zscaler services, but the problem is high CPU utilization detected 91%. Okay, so what that mean is, it will also tell you worker queue depth increase 4 to 8, application connection processing delay 180-47. So you see that when your app connector is using high utilization, your connection got slow. Okay, you see that backend application 192.168.1.0 also delay to respond because of CPU utilization is 94%, then 97%, it increasing that, right? So you see that in the with the single command, okay, ZPA-U connector, you will identify what is the reason why your CPU utilization is happened, right? Now guys, I will tell you how you can configure first. Suppose you got a first login of app connector, right? Now how you can add a provision key, because important part is once you establish the, because see, three things is important. First you can configure NTP server, then you can configure interface where your LAN cable connected with the app connector. After that, once your Linux is open, then what you need to do, you can run the command first systemctl, okay, then you can put the start, and then you can put the service name. Okay, so once you start, even before that I will suggest you can configure the, you can go sudo and put it that maybe use nano, because you need to put this provision key, whatever provision key you downloaded from portal, you need to put it on that part. You can put like just like log, not log, it should be like awesome slash war slash zscaler, then you can create provision key and dot config, something like that, and after that you can run systemctl start app connector. Okay, so only 3-4 command is required when you are connecting or we are configuring your on premises device. Once you put out the provision key, it will automatically take care of all things. Okay, so you see, once you put out the password, it will give you that, you go to the sudo, okay, put it like host name, CTL and all, it will tell you everything about that, what is the BM you are using. Then it will also tell you that whether this NTP server is active or not. So you check time date CTL, okay, this will tell you that what is the status of time. Okay, now you see the cron sync source B, it will tell you that time synchronization everything is okay, right? Because NTP server is mandatory to sync, it is very important. Okay, so once you validate the NTP server, now you can go sudo nano option var slash zscaler. Oh, my bad, this is the correct path. Okay, I think I put it wrong spelling here. So this is the path, sudo nano option zscaler var slash provisioning dot config. So once you open that, you got a notepad. Okay, in the CLI nano command is, you know, that editor used in Linux. So once you open that screen, you need to copy directly your all provision key here. Okay, this path, and it will hold all detail everything. Once you done the provision key, you run chmod, because you need to run, give the permission so that this provision key should be used on app connector. Once you give the 600 means executable permission. Okay, so once you run system ctl start ZPA connector, now ZPA start connecting, and once it start, you get it that your app connector establish the connection. You see guys how easy you can establish the connection. Is it not difficult, right? I will give you this all output in the chat, in the PDF, on the link in the description, so you can take it, right? So guys, let me tell you what we discussed till now. So first scenario, if your backend application between firewall is blocking, then you can run the TCP dump, right? That's first. Second scenario, if slowness issue, user facing slowness issue, then what you need to do, use the mtr command to see what is the latency between source to destination, and this happen from app connector to the backend application, right? Third part, if your app connector is not connecting to Zscaler Service Edge, right? Then you can use general CTL command. You saw, right? General CTL -u and then ZPA connector, right? After that, everything, suppose you identify the reason and not even CPU utilization also part of general CTL, right? Then you also, I told you that how configure, you know how to configure new web connector, right? You can go ahead, configure NTP server, configure interface, then you can go under that and go under option slash war slash zscaler slash provision key, put this in nano, copy your provision key from the portal, ZPA portal, and paste it here, and keep the chmod command, mode plus 600, so that this file is make it executable. Then you can run system ctl and the service start and the service ZPA connector, right? So guys, this is what about the full concept of the how to troubleshoot the app connector issues, how we can fix it, how we can see the logs in the portal. So this is guys very very important, right? Because if you are working as a L3, or maybe you are targeting to work as a L3, or you are going for interview. Okay, so interviewer asks this question: what is difference between MTR and general CTL? So you can mention that this is what I was told you, right? If you watch my recording till end, I will give you one important question. So general CTL used to on system level of logs of app connector. MTR give you the latency, or between source to destination, how many paths are coming and what is the latency of every path. So I think we are good, guys. Okay, so I'm just closing the recording. Okay, thanks for watching that video, guys. So hope you enjoyed that video. We make it very hard work, right? So I want you should subscribe our channel, share with the friend who were looking for job. And also guys, I will tell you, okay, so we have very good interview question answer. You should visit on our website, so you can those are the very good question. It will help you out to crack your interview, not only on Zscaler, Palo Alto, Checkpoint, FortiGate, CyberArk, any technology. So everything is there. You should be must visit on that. And if you want, you have any query, you can WhatsApp directly and mention my name. My name is Ram Dikshit. So thanks guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in next videos.